Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Everyday Unboxing and I'm Chris Lowe. Now this channel is dedicated to unboxing and reviewing all kinds of new technology and gadgets, and really pretty much anything that piques my interest that I would love to share with you. So in today's video, we're going to be checking out this all-new 15-inch MacBook Air, which I finally received a couple of days ago. Now to this day, I've been pretty much editing all of my videos and doing all of my work on a PC. Now I decided to finally pull the trigger and buy this MacBook Air, one, because of the M2 chip and the larger screen, and then two, because I needed something that I could edit videos on while I'm traveling. For me, this 15-inch MacBook Air might be the best balance between price, features, power, and portability. It's both portable and slim, and powerful enough to do everything that I need it to do. Anyways, stay tuned and we'll unbox this and check this thing out. Okay, so like most Apple products, it's got the unboxing experience that most of us have all come to love and enjoy. Simplicity and nothing too difficult or complex. So it's just simply about removing the tabs or pulling some tabs away and then sliding it open. Now at most, the packaging is minimal at most. So typical, little tab that you pull. Now this time, I decided to get the midnight version, which I think is super sleek and kind of matches the shirt that I'm wearing. Now again, this is 11.5 pounds and is about 3.3 inches in size, so very slim and has a good weight to it just because it is just a little bit larger than the previous version of the MacBook Air. So there is just a little bit more weight to it. But overall, I do like the sleek look of it, and I definitely do like the color. And then you've also got the magnetic charging cable, which is a braided cable that matches the color of the laptop itself. So aesthetically, that's something that I like about Apple, is they match the accessories with the product itself, so always nice. So it is the magnetic cable with the USB-C charging port on the end. And I do wish that they would match the USB-C side of it instead of just having that white, but also matching the color as well. Okay, and then you of course get your standard instruction manuals and your matching stickers. So in my configuration, I decided to upgrade or swap out for the 70-watt charging brick rather than the dual USB-C 35-watt charging brick. Just because I don't necessarily need the dual USB-C, and I just wanted to have this higher powered charging brick for faster charging. So I chose the bigger, larger power brick for my configuration. And of course on the website it is a free swap, so you can choose whichever one you want at no extra cost. Okay, so from a specs perspective, this year's 15-inch MacBook Air is not much different from the previous 13-inch MacBook Air, with the exception of the size of the screen. Both of them still have the M2 chip and pretty much all the specs and functionality that the previous version had. Now when it comes to a configuration standpoint, I pretty much went with all the basics, with the exception that I did upgrade to 24 gigs of memory. The hard drive space, I decided to keep the 512 just because I'm always carrying portable hard drives with me, and I also directly store everything to my servers anyway. So hard drive space and storage was not necessarily something that was important to me versus the memory itself. Now in addition to that, I did pay extra to have Final Cut Pro installed, again just because I plan to use this to edit videos when I'm traveling. Okay, so let's go ahead and power this thing on and set it up for first use. Okay, so right off the bat it powers on as any typical Apple device would power on. So we'll go ahead and press the button. Set this up in English. Okay, and of course there is an update, so we'll make sure we just update it to the latest. Okay, so while it's updating, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the specs. This again is the 15-inch MacBook Air. It's got a M2 chip with an 8-core CPU, a 10-core GPU, and a 16-core neural engine. This specific model that I ordered has 24 gigs of unified memory. It's also got a 512 gig SSD hard drive, and it's got a 15.3-inch liquid retina display with True Tone. Built in, of course, is the 1080p FaceTime HD camera. and it's got the MagSafe 3 charging port. It's got 2 Thunderbolt and USB 4 ports, and then I swapped out the 35 watt dual USB-C port for the 70 watt. Again, it's also got the backlit Magic Keyboard with Touch ID. Now, when it comes down to it, this year's 15-inch MacBook is a pretty decent and powerful laptop. In fact, I think it's probably going to be Apple's biggest selling portable this year, and that's not because it's new, but really because most people will look at it as an opportunity to get an Apple laptop with a larger screen without needing to pay large sums of money for the MacBook Pro. In addition to that, for that price, they'll also get a system equipped with the new M2 processor, all at a cheaper price point. Now, for this video, I don't have another MacBook Air to compare this 15-inch model to, since this is my first one. But based on what I've seen and what I know about the previous versions of the MacBook Air, this one pretty much has the same features as the previous 13-inch version. It's pretty much got the same keyboard and layout using these nice tactile buttons. It's also got the same touchpad, albeit it's a little bit larger. And then it also comes with the same great colors, which are Midnight, Starlight, Space Gray, and Silver. And again, for me, I did choose the Midnight color because it just looks super sleek. Now, from a performance standpoint, nothing much has changed at all. It's still got the same internal components, with the exception that it does have more space, so that everything is probably spaced out and configured just a little bit differently. Now, thermal-wise, I don't think anything different was done as well, but I'm not certain since I haven't taken the machine apart. It's also probably something I won't do because I'm still a new content creator and I can't afford to buy a replacement if I accidentally break something. Where you will notice a difference, of course, is in the screen coming in at 15.3 inches diagonally. This gives it a resolution of 2880 by 1864 at about 470 nits of brightness. The display quality, however, is not very different or even any better than the previous model. Now on the flip side, if you're comparing this to the Pro models, those are definitely going to be better displays since they have the individually lit LEDs and 120 Hz ProMotion. Now moving on to the things that I do like about this 15-inch MacBook Air, definitely I do love the speakers, which are pretty nice given that they are laptop speakers. The sound is crisp, the bass is adequate, and overall, performance is much better and more immersive than most laptops that I have lying around. You can definitely feel and experience the amazing audio coming from the 6-speaker surround sound system when listening to audio.
Meet James Kirk. You have an energy. What? It's making me sweat.
Now what's cool about the speaker system for this portable is that they're discreet and you can't even see them. In fact, they are built into the fold of the frame itself, which is quite clever and aesthetically pleasing because they aren't noticeable at all. Now going back to the space inside the system, the one thing that I would have expected, which is kind of disappointing when I was looking at the specs, is the battery life. Now normally I would assume with a larger chassis and the additional space that Apple would potentially increase the battery size, but in this case they didn't. It's pretty much the same as the previous model. And then going back from a performance standpoint, this 15-inch MacBook Air doesn't really outperform or set itself apart from the previous 13-inch version. And even in some cases, it actually underperforms the previous model by just a smidge in pretty much every single benchmark. Now one thing I do like about Apple products is their design concepts and their aesthetic look. I mean, look at this laptop. It's ultra thin and it's just super sleek looking, and I just love this color. Now I will say though that this laptop is not fingerprint proof. As you can see, I've got tons of little fingerprints all over it, but that's not something I'm going to complain about because ultimately, from a design perspective, this thing just looks ultra slick. And then in addition to that, they are able to consistently fit all that power into these small and creatively designed chassis. In the end, when you're comparing the 13-inch versus the 15-inch base models of the MacBook Air, you're really looking at an extra $200 for a larger screen and better speakers. Now that also changes depending on the types of upgrades you include. For example, in my case, where I stuck with the 500 gigs of storage and upgraded to the 24 gig max of memory, just because from a storage standpoint, I've always got external drives and my NAS to store my files on. But when it comes to memory, you're pretty much stuck with what you get when you configure and order your system. Anyways, that's my unboxing and review of Apple's all-new 15-inch MacBook Air. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please make sure you like and subscribe and ring that bell icon to get notified when I post new content. And as usual, I'll see you next time.